I was 13 years old when my father sold me. Not metaphorically. Not gave me away in marriage, though that's what they called it. Sold. To a man 45 years older than me. For $8,000 and a construction contract that would keep my father's business alive for another 3 years. I remember the exact weight of the gold necklace they placed around my neck during the engagement ceremony. 22-karat gold. Heavy. Cold. It pressed against my throat like hands choking me. My mother fastened the clasp, and her fingers trembled. Just slightly. Enough that I noticed. Not enough that she stopped. The man, Sheikh Abdullah, smiled at me with teeth stained brown from decades of tobacco. His hand reached across the embroidered cushions that separated us, and he touched my cheek. His fingers smelled like cigarettes and something else. Something rotten. I flinched. My father's eyes snapped to me with a warning sharper than any slap. Be grateful. Smile. You are honored. I smiled. Because that's what girls do. We smile while we die inside. But let me take you back. Before the engagement. Before the gold choker. Before I learned that being born female was my first and greatest sin. I grew up in a beautiful prison. That's the only way I can describe it. Our home in Aleppo had marble floors, intricate mosaics, a courtyard with a fountain that sang in the summer heat. My brothers, 4 of them, ran freely through those halls. They shouted, played, broke things. My mother cleaned up after them with a soft smile. Boys will be boys, she'd say. But me? I walked quietly. Spoke softly. Kept my eyes down. By the time I was 7, I knew the rules that were never spoken but always enforced. Don't laugh too loudly. Don't run. Don't ask why your brothers get to go to school while you stay home. Don't question why you eat after the men finish. Don't wonder why your father kisses your brothers' foreheads but barely looks at you. Don't. 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 My childhood was a series of closed doors. I remember being 9 years old, watching through the window as my younger brother, 2 years younger than me, left for his first day of school. He had a new backpack. Navy blue with cartoon characters. He was so excited he could barely tie his shoes. My father ruffled his hair, proud. My son, the scholar, he said. I'd been begging to go to school for 2 years. Girls don't need school, my father had said. You'll be married. Your husband will provide. You need to learn to cook, clean, serve. Your mother will teach you. I looked at my mother that morning. She was folding laundry. She didn't meet my eyes. Because she knew. She'd been 9 once too. She'd watched her brothers leave while she stayed behind. And she'd learned the most important lesson our culture teaches women. Your voice doesn't matter. Your dreams don't matter. Your pain doesn't matter. Only your obedience matters. I learned to read anyway. In secret. My oldest brother, Khalil, taught me when no one was looking. He was kind, back then. Before he learned that kindness to women makes you weak. Before our father taught him that a man's honor lives between his sister's legs. By age 11, I could recite Quran passages better than my brothers. But I was never allowed to read aloud. Women's voices are aura, my grandmother said. Temptation for men. I was 11. What man was I tempting? Then I turned 12. And everything shattered. I got my first period on a Tuesday morning. I didn't know what was happening. My mother had never told me. We didn't talk about bodies, about womanhood, about anything real. I thought I was dying. Blood on my nightgown. Cramping pain I'd never felt before. I ran to my mother, terrified. She looked at me with something I'd never seen in her eyes before. Pity. You're a woman now, she said quietly. She handed me cloth pads and showed me how to wash them in cold water where my brothers wouldn't see. You pray differently now. You cover completely now. You don't speak to men, even cousins. You understand? I didn't understand. I was 12 years old and I'd just lost something I couldn't name. That afternoon, my father called me into his study. He'd never done that before. I stood in the doorway, heart pounding. You're becoming a woman, he said, not looking at me. He was signing papers at his desk. Business documents. We'll start looking for a husband soon. Your mother will prepare you. A husband. I was 12. But Baba, I'm still. You're not a child anymore. His voice cut through my protest like a blade. You're a responsibility now. A liability. Every day you stay unmarried, you risk our family's honor. Do you understand what that means? I understood. I'd heard the stories. The girl 3 houses down who smiled at a boy at the market. Her brothers beat her so badly she couldn't walk for a month. The woman in our mosque who was divorced, we were forbidden from speaking to her. Tainted. Shamed. And the whispers about my cousin Layla, who ran away with a man she loved. They found her body in the river 2 weeks later. Honor killings, they called them. As if there was honor in murdering your own daughter. I became a ghost in my own home. I wasn't Sarah anymore, the girl who loved stories, who dreamed of traveling, who wanted to be a teacher. I was the daughter. The burden. The ticking time bomb of potential shame. I wore hijab now. Then niqab. Until all anyone could see were my eyes. And I learned to make even those expressionless. My brother stopped talking to me. Can't be too friendly with women, Khalil said, the brother who'd taught me to read. Even sisters. People talk. I ate alone. Prayed alone. Slept in a room that felt smaller every day. And then, 6 months after my 13th birthday, my father made his announcement. I was in the kitchen with my mother, learning to make kibbe, the same dish I'd make for the rest of my life, over and over, in whatever prison I'd be sold into. My father entered. He never came into the kitchen. That was women's territory. Beneath him. Sheikh Abdullah has asked for Sarah's hand, he said. My mother's knife slipped. She cut her finger. Blood dripped onto the raw meat. She didn't move to stop it. He's a good man. Wealthy. Respected. The Mar is generous. The wedding will be in 3 months. I couldn't breathe. The room tilted. Baba, I don't even know. You don't need to know him. You need to obey him. This is a blessing, Sarah. Be grateful. Sheikh Abdullah. I'd seen him at mosque. Gray beard down to his chest. Walked with a cane. Had buried 2 wives already. Buried. That's what the women whispered. His first wife died in childbirth at 15. The second one, they say she fell down the stairs. But she fell a lot, that one. I looked at my mother. Please. Help me. Save me. Say something. She wrapped her bleeding finger in a dishcloth and turned back to the meat. That night, I lay on my bed and stared at the ceiling. I tried to pray. Allah, please. Please don't let this happen. Please. Silence. I prayed all night. Begging. Bargaining. I'll be better. I'll be more obedient. Just please, not him. Not yet. I'm 13. I'm still a child. But I wasn't a child. Not anymore. Not according to my father. Not according to my religion. Not according to a culture that measures a girl's worth by her virginity and her silence. I was a woman now. Which meant I was property. And my father had just signed the sales contract. The first time I met Sheikh Abdullah, really met him, not just saw him from across the mosque, was 3 days after my father's announcement. My mother dressed me like a doll. A pale pink abaya, expensive fabric that whispered when I moved. Gold embroidery at the cuffs. She lined my eyes with kohl, even though I'd never worn makeup before. Her hand shook as she drew the line. She had to start over twice. "You're beautiful," she whispered. But her eyes were somewhere else. Somewhere far away. Maybe in her own past. Her own pink abaya. Her own 13-year-old body being prepared for inspection. "Ummi, please." My voice cracked. "Please don't make me do this." She cupped my face. For just a moment, I saw her, really saw her. Not my mother. Just a woman. Tired. Broken. Trapped in the same cage she was now locking me into. "Habibti," she said softly. "There is no other way. This is our life. This is what it means to be a woman in our world. We survive. We endure. We protect what little we can. But I don't want to just survive." Tears spilled over. I didn't care that I'd ruined the coal. I want to live. I want to choose. I want. Her hand covered my mouth. Gentle but firm. Her eyes darted to the door, terrified someone had heard. "Don't," she hissed. "Don't ever say that again. Those words are dangerous. Those thoughts will get you killed." She removed her hand slowly. Straightened my hijab. Smoothed the fabric over my shoulders. When she spoke again, her voice was hollow. "I thought the same things once. Every woman does. And then you learn. You learn that wanting is a luxury we cannot afford. You learn that dreams are for men. And you learn that the fastest way to die is to say no in a world that never asks yes." Downstairs, I heard men's voices. Laughter. My father. My uncle's. And another voice. Raspy. Thick with phlegm. Sheikh Abdullah. My mother took my hand. Hers was ice cold. "Come. It's time." The living room was full of men. Smoke hung in the air from their cigarettes and shisha pipes. They sat on the cushions that lined the walls, drinking tea, discussing business. I stood in the doorway, my mother behind me, and every eye turned to me. I felt naked. Even though I was covered from head to toe. Even though only my face showed. I felt stripped. Examined. Evaluated. Sheikh Abdullah sat in the place of honor, next to my father. He was worse up close. His beard was stained yellow near his mouth. His eyes were rheumy, half-closed like a lizard's. When he smiled at me, I saw gaps where teeth should be. "Mashallah," he said, his voice like gravel scraping against stone. "She's lovely. Delicate. Like a dove. Not a person. A bird. A thing to cage." My father beamed. Proud. Like he'd bred a prized mare. "She's well-trained. Obedient. Can cook, clean, sew. She'll bear you many sons, inshallah." Bear him sons. I was 13 years old and they were discussing my womb like it was farmland. "Come closer, girl," Sheikh Abdullah commanded. I didn't move. I couldn't. My legs had turned to stone. My father's expression darkened. "Sarah. Now." My mother's hand pressed against my lower back. A gentle push. A warning. I stepped forward. 1 step. 2. Until I stood directly in front of him. He reached up, I'll never forget this, and he grabbed my hand. Not gently. His palm was damp, rough. His fingernails were too long, yellowed. He turned my hand over, examining it like merchandise. "Soft," he murmured. "Good. My last wife had hands like leather. Too much work. This one I'll keep more carefully." Keep. Like a possession. Like a car you park in the garage to protect your investment. He looked up at me then, directly into my eyes. And I saw nothing there. No kindness. No warmth. Not even cruelty, really. Just emptiness. Like looking into a well and seeing no bottom. "You'll do," he said. And released my hand. That was it. The extent of our courtship. 6 words. "You'll do." The men returned to their tea and business talk. My mother pulled me back toward the kitchen, but I heard them discussing terms. The bride price. $8,000. Paid half now, half on the wedding night. The wedding date, 12 weeks. Enough time to prepare, not so long that anything unfortunate happens. My father laughed at that. They all did. Unfortunate. Like me running away. Like me killing myself. Like me having an opinion. In the kitchen, I collapsed. My legs gave out and I sank to the tile floor. My mother knelt beside me, but she didn't hold me. She just sat there. 2 prisoners in the same cell. "He's old," I whispered. "He's older than Baba." He's wealthy," my mother said flatly. "He's respected. He'll provide for you. That's more than many girls get." "I don't care about wealth. I care about—" "What you care about doesn't matter." Her voice rose, sharp and sudden. "When will you understand that? Your feelings, your wants, your dreams, they're nothing. You think I wanted my life? You think I chose your father?" She laughed, bitter and broken. I was 14. He was 32. I cried for a month. My mother told me the same thing I'm telling you now: it doesn't matter. We don't matter. We're women. We endure. I stared at her. Really looked at her. She was only 37 years old, but she looked 60. Gray streaking her hair. Lines carved deep around her mouth. Eyes that had forgotten how to hope. "Is that what you want for me?" I asked quietly. "To become you?" She flinched like I'd slapped her. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she stood, brushed off her abaya, and went back to preparing tea for the men who'd just sold her daughter. She didn't answer my question. But her silence was answer enough. The next 8 weeks were a countdown to my execution. That's what it felt like. Every day that passed, every sunrise, every call to prayer, it all felt like a clock ticking down to the end of my life. My father's sister, Aunt Nazreen, came to prepare me. That's what they called it. Preparation. She sat me down in my room, closed the door, and told me what to expect on my wedding night. I won't repeat all of it here. Some things are too ugly. But I remember her words exactly. "It will hurt. It's supposed to hurt. If it doesn't hurt, he'll think you're not pure. So don't cry too much, that annoys them, but show enough pain that he knows he's your first. Afterward, the bleeding. Make sure there's blood. If there's not enough, they have ways, but it's better if there is. The sheet will be inspected in the morning. Your mother-in-law, the female relatives. They'll look. They'll judge. Your entire value as a woman will be determined by the stains on that sheet." I was going to be sick. "Aunt Nazreen, I can't." "You can. You will. Every woman does." She patted my hand, almost motherly. "After the first few months, you get used to it. You learn to disappear in your head. Go somewhere else while he does what husbands do. And when you get pregnant, and you will, he'll make sure of that, then you'll have a purpose. Sons. Give him sons and your life will be easier." "And if I have daughters?" I asked. Her face darkened. "Pray you don't. At least not first." She left me there, with instructions on how to please a man I didn't love, couldn't love, was terrified of. Instructions on how to survive rape dressed up as duty. That night, I did something I'd never done before. I prayed differently. Not the ritual prayers, the 5 daily salat with their memorized Arabic and prescribed movements. But a real prayer. A desperate prayer. I pressed my face to my prayer mat and I begged. Allah, if you're real, if you hear me, please. I know I'm just a girl. I know I'm worthless compared to my brothers. I know I was born wrong, born less than. But please. Please. I don't want this. I don't want him. I'd rather die. If you have any mercy, any at all, let me die before the wedding. I waited for an answer. A sign. A feeling. Anything. Silence. The same silence I'd heard my whole life. The same silence my mother heard. The same silence every woman in my family had heard for generations. I lifted my face from the mat. My tears had soaked through the fabric, leaving dark patches. And something inside me, something small and fragile that I didn't even know existed, began to crack. Not the hope. I never had much of that. But the belief. The belief that any of this was normal. That any of this was right. That God, if he existed, wanted this for me. You don't care, I whispered to the ceiling. To Allah. To whoever might be listening. You don't care about girls. If you did, you wouldn't have made us this way. Powerless. Voiceless. Less than. And in the silence that followed, a terrible thought entered my mind. What if there is no God? What if we're praying to nothing? What if all of this, the suffering, the submission, the sacrifice, is for nothing? I gasped. Covered my mouth with both hands. That thought was blasphemy. That thought could get me killed. But once you think something, you can't unthink it. And the seed of doubt, once planted, doesn't stop growing. Downstairs, I heard my father and Sheikh Abdullah talking. Finalizing details. The venue. The guests. The menu. They were planning my funeral and calling it a celebration. And I sat on my prayer mat, in a room that was becoming smaller every day, and I realized something that would change everything. I'd been told my whole life that Allah was merciful. That he loved us. That he knew what was best. But a God who saw a 13-year-old girl being sold to an old man and did nothing? That wasn't mercy. That was cruelty. Or worse, that was indifference. And I couldn't serve a God who didn't see me. Who didn't value me. Who created me female and then punished me for it every single day of my life. I didn't know it then, but that was the moment everything started to shift. That was the moment I stopped praying to Allah. And started looking for something, anything, else. The wedding preparations consumed our house like a disease. Every day, women came and went. Aunts, cousins, neighbors, all of them discussing fabric and flowers and food. They smiled at me. They congratulated me. They told me how blessed I was. Not one of them asked if I wanted this. Not one of them looked me in the eye. Because they knew. They all knew. Every single woman who touched my wedding dress, who tasted the sample menus, who admired the gold jewelry Sheikh Abdullah had sent, they knew exactly what they were preparing me for. They'd survived it. So I would too. That was the unspoken agreement. The silent contract of womanhood in our world, we don't save each other. We just pull the next girl into the water so we don't drown alone. I tried praying. I really did. Not because I believed anymore, that belief had cracked and was crumbling more each day, but because I was desperate. And desperate people will try anything. I performed wudu so many times my skin cracked and bled. I prayed all 5 salat, on time, perfectly. I recited extra Quran passages. I fasted on Mondays and Thursdays like the Prophet supposedly did. I gave away what little money I had to beggars. I did everything the Imam said would make Allah listen. Silence. Worse than silence. Emptiness. Like praying into a void that had no bottom, no end, no God on the other side. I remember one night, 3 weeks before the wedding. I'd just finished Isha prayer, the final prayer of the day. I stayed on the mat, forehead pressed to the ground, and I tried one more time. Allah, I whispered. They say you're closer to us than our jugular vein. They say you hear everything. They say you know what's in our hearts. So you know. You know I don't want this. You know I'm scared. You know what he's going to do to me. Why won't you help? Why won't you answer? What did I do wrong? Was I not born right? Is being female such a sin that I don't deserve your mercy? I waited. The house was quiet. My brothers were asleep. My parents were in their room. Just me, the prayer mat, and the God who wouldn't speak. Please, I begged. My voice broke. Please. I've done everything right. I've obeyed. I've covered. I've submitted. I've been good. Isn't that enough? What more do you want from me? My mother's voice from years ago echoed in my head. When Allah is silent, it means He's answered, and the answer is no. I lifted my head. Looked at the prayer mat beneath me. It was beautiful once, intricate patterns, deep burgundy and gold thread. Now it was worn in the center where my forehead had pressed 1,000 times. All those prayers. All those tears. All that begging. For nothing. You're not there, are you? I whispered. And this time it wasn't a question. It was a realization. Or you are, and you just don't care. Either way, I'm alone. I rolled up the prayer mat that night and I never used it again. The female relatives started their rituals. That's what I started calling them in my head, rituals. Religious ceremonies for a religion I no longer believed in. The henna ceremony came first. 6 days before the wedding. They brought me to Aunt Nasreen's house where 30 women gathered in the courtyard. Music played. They ululated, that high-pitched sound of celebration that makes my skin crawl to this day. They sat me on a throne-like chair, draped in silk and flowers. A henna artist knelt before me and began painting my hands and feet with intricate designs. Brides. Flowers. Symbols of fertility and joy and blessings. I felt like a sacrifice being decorated before slaughter. The women sang traditional songs. They clapped. They danced. And they kept coming to me, one by one, to whisper their wisdom. The first year is the hardest, one aunt said, gripping my hennaed hand too tightly. After that, you forget what freedom felt like. Give him sons quickly, another said. It's your only protection. Never say no, my cousin Miriam whispered. She was 17. Married 2 years. She had a bruise on her jaw she'd tried to cover with makeup. No matter what he asks. No matter how much it hurts. Never say no. My mother sat across the courtyard, surrounded by older women. She watched me but didn't come close. I caught her eye once. She looked away immediately, tears streaming down her face. She was crying at my funeral. The henna artist finished. My hands and feet were covered in intricate patterns that would stain my skin for weeks. Beautiful, everyone said. Mashallah. So beautiful. I looked down at my hands. They didn't look like mine anymore. They looked like they belonged to someone else. Some other girl. Some bride who was happy, who had chosen this, who believed in the fairy tale. I wanted to scratch the henna off. Scrub my skin raw. Destroy the beautiful lies they'd painted on me. Instead, I smiled. Because that's what we do. We smile while we die. The next day, the women took me to the hammam, the bathhouse. Another ritual. Purification before the wedding. Except there's nothing pure about what was coming. The hammam was all steam and echoing voices. Naked women everywhere, mothers, daughters, sisters. Bodies in all stages of life. Young girls like me. Old women with sagging breasts and stretch marks. This was the only place women could be themselves. No hijabs. No men. Just us. But even here, in the supposed safety of women-only space, I felt exposed. Vulnerable. Because they were preparing me. Washing me. Scrubbing my skin until it was raw and red. Removing every hair from my body, every hair, until I was smooth like a child. Like livestock being groomed for market. You must be perfect for him, Aunt Nazreen said as she poured hot water over my head. Men have expectations. I sat there, naked and shivering despite the heat, and I listened to the women talk. They always talked at the hammam. Secrets spilled in the steam. My husband hasn't touched me in 6 months, one woman said. He took a second wife. Younger. I'm relieved, honestly. Mine beats me when dinner isn't ready on time, another said. But only where it doesn't show. He's careful about that. I tried to leave once, someone else whispered. My brother found me. Broke my arm. Said next time he'd kill me. I believe him. This was womanhood. This was marriage. This was the blessed life everyone kept congratulating me for entering. And Allah was silent through all of it. I thought about that. A lot. In those final days before the wedding. How Allah commanded 5 daily prayers. How He prescribed every detail of how we dress, eat, wash, live. How there were rules for everything. But no rules against forced marriage. No rules against child brides. No rules protecting women from violence in their own homes. The Quran said men could beat their wives. Strike them. Lightly, the Imam said. As if there's a way to hit someone lovingly. The Quran said a man could have 4 wives. But a woman? 1 husband. And if he divorces her, she's ruined. But he can marry again tomorrow. The Quran said a woman's testimony in court was worth half a man's. Her inheritance, half. Her freedom, her choices, her voice, all worth less. Always less. And when I'd asked why, when I was younger, still naive enough to ask questions, the Imam said, because Allah made men protectors over women. It's natural order. Divine wisdom. But what kind of God creates half his creation to be dominated by the other half? What kind of God calls that justice? Calls that mercy? Calls that love? I didn't have answers. I just had rage. Quiet, buried rage that I couldn't express. Couldn't speak. Could barely admit to myself. Because questioning Allah was unforgivable. Worse than murder. Worse than anything. But I couldn't help it. The questions kept coming. Why did you make me a woman if being a woman is a curse? Why should I submit to a man who bought me like property? Why are you silent when I beg for help? Why do you see me as less than? Why don't you love me? That last question broke me. Because deep down, under all the rules and rituals and recitations, that's what I wanted. What every human wants. To be loved. To be valued. To matter. And I'd been told my whole life that Allah loved me. But how do you love someone you oppress? How do you love someone you allow to be sold, beaten, silenced, erased? You don't. That's not love. That's ownership. That's control. And I didn't want to be owned anymore. For days before the wedding, I stopped eating. Not intentionally at first. Food just tasted like ash. Everything did. But then I realized, if I got sick enough, maybe they'd postpone. Maybe I'd get more time. Maybe something would change. My mother noticed after 2 days. She brought food to my room. Sat on my bed. Held the plate of rice and lamb. You need your strength, she said quietly. For what? I asked. I was lying on my side, facing the wall. I couldn't look at her. For my wedding night? Should I eat so I have energy to be raped? She gasped. Sarah. You can't say such things. Why not? I rolled over. It's true. I'm 13. He's 62. I don't want him. But he'll take me anyway. What do you call that? I call it marriage. Her voice rose, desperate. I call it duty. I call it life. You call it survival, I corrected. And I'm tired, Ummi. I'm so tired. I'm 13 years old and I'm already exhausted from existing. She set the plate down with shaking hands. I know, she whispered. I know you're scared. I was too. But Sarah, there's no other way. If you refuse, your father will. Kill me? I laughed. It sounded hollow. Good. Let him. At least then it would be over. Don't say that. She grabbed my shoulders. Don't you ever say that. You have to survive. You have to. Why? I looked at her. Really looked at her. Why do I have to survive? To become like you? To spend the next 40 years dying slowly instead of quickly? To have daughters I'll sell too? To pray to a God who doesn't answer? Why, Ummi? Give me one good reason why I should survive this. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. And nothing came out. Because there was no good reason. We both knew it. She left the plate and walked out. I heard her crying in the hallway. I didn't touch the food. I turned back to the wall and closed my eyes. And in the darkness behind my eyelids, I prayed one final prayer. Not to Allah. I was done with him. I prayed to the universe. To fate. To death itself. If there's anyone out there who actually cares, I whispered. If there's any God anywhere who sees me as more than property, show me. Please. Because if you don't, I'm done. I'd rather die than live like this. I'd rather be nothing than be this. I fell asleep waiting for an answer that didn't come. But something was listening. I just didn't know it yet. 2 days before the wedding, I met Lena. She appeared at our house on a Wednesday morning, the new housemaid. My mother hired her to help with the final wedding preparations. The cooking, the cleaning, the endless tasks that a celebration requires. My mother was drowning in responsibilities, and my father agreed we needed help. Lena was from the Philippines. Petite. Maybe 30 years old. She wore a simple hijab, not because she was Muslim, I'd learn later, but because it was required for domestic workers in our area. She had kind eyes. Tired eyes. But kind. She worked quietly those first hours. Mopping floors. Washing dishes. Staying invisible the way good servants do. But I caught her watching me once. When I walked through the kitchen, hollow-eyed and thin from days of not eating. She looked at me the way my mother used to look at injured birds we'd find in the garden. With pity. With recognition of suffering. I ignored her. I was beyond help. Beyond hope. The wedding was in 48 hours. My dress hung in my room like a ghost. The gold jewelry sat in velvet boxes. The contract was signed. There was no escape. That afternoon, I went to the bathroom to perform wudu. Not because I was going to pray, I was done with that, but because the ritual of washing was one of the few moments of solitude I had left. The cold water. The silence. The brief illusion of cleansing. I was drying my hands when I noticed it. A small piece of paper, folded carefully, tucked between the hand towel and the wall. Hidden. Deliberate. I looked around. The door was closed. I was alone. I unfolded it. The handwriting was feminine. Neat. The message was in Arabic, but simpler than Quranic Arabic. Easier to read. If the sun sets you free, you will be free indeed. John 8 verse 36. There is someone who sees you. Who loves you. Who calls you daughter, not property. His name is Jesus. If you want to know more, I can help. Destroy this note. L. My hand shook. This was haram. Forbidden. More than forbidden, dangerous. Reading Christian scripture. Communicating with a Christian. This could get Lena deported, arrested, or worse. This could get me killed. I should have destroyed it immediately. Should have told my father. Should have had Lena removed from our house. Instead, I read it again. If the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Free. That word. I'd almost forgotten what it meant. What it felt like to even imagine it. Who calls you daughter, not property? Daughter. Not wife. Not possession. Not burden. Daughter. I pressed the note to my chest. Something inside me, that small, dying thing I thought was gone, flickered. Not hope exactly. Hope was too big. Too dangerous. But, curiosity. Desperation. The drowning person's instinct to grab at anything, even if it might not float. I tore the note into tiny pieces and flushed it down the toilet. But the words stayed. Burned into my memory. That evening, I found Lena in the kitchen. She was preparing vegetables for tomorrow's feast. My feast. My funeral banquet. I pretended to get water. The kitchen was empty except for us. My mother was upstairs. My brothers were out. My father in his study. Thank you for your help, I said quietly in Arabic. Formal. Polite. The way you speak to servants. Of course, miss, she replied. Didn't look up. Kept chopping. I found something, I whispered. In the bathroom. Her hand stilled for just a moment. Then continued. I clean many bathrooms. Sometimes I find things. This was intentional. Perhaps. She rinsed the knife. Perhaps someone wanted you to find it. My heart pounded. Why? She finally looked at me. And in her eyes I saw something I hadn't seen in anyone's eyes for weeks. Not pity. Not resignation. But, fire. Conviction. Hope. Because I know what it's like, she said softly. To be trapped. To be treated as less than. To pray to a God who never answers. And I know what it's like to find the God who does answer. Who sees? Who saves? Jesus, I breathed. Jesus, she confirmed. But miss, you must be very careful. If your family discovers. I don't care. The words came out hard. Certain. I'm getting married in 2 days to a man I don't love. After that, my life is over anyway. What more can they take from me? Lena's eyes filled with tears. Everything, she whispered. They can take everything. But Jesus. He can give you everything too. Even in the midst of hell. Even when you lose it all. He gives you yourself. Your worth. Your identity. Things they can never take. How do you know? I demanded. How do you know he's real? How do you know he's different from Allah? How do you know he actually cares about women? She smiled. Sad but genuine. Because he saved me. I was trafficked. Did you know that? Promised a job in Syria, ended up sold as a domestic slave. Beaten. Starved. Raped by the man of the house while his wife looked the other way. I prayed to every saint, every god I knew. Nothing. Then one night, in my locked room, Jesus came. Not a vision. Him. And he wept with me. For me. He called me beloved. Me. Used goods. Dirty. Worthless. And he said I was precious. Worth dying for. Worth saving. I couldn't breathe. What did you do? I gave him everything. My pain. My rage. My broken body and shattered heart. And he took it. He carried it. And slowly, so slowly, he healed me. Gave me courage. I escaped. Found a church. They helped me. And now I go where he sends me. To girls like you. To women who need to know they're not alone. That there's a God who actually sees them. But why would he care? My voice cracked. I'm Muslim. I'm nobody. You're his daughter, Lena said firmly. He made you. He loves you. And he's been watching your suffering. Every tear you cried that Allah ignored, Jesus collected them. Every prayer that bounced off the ceiling, Jesus heard them. He's been waiting, Sarah. Waiting for you to look for him. I don't have a Bible, I whispered. I don't know anything about. You have a phone? I nodded. My father gave me one years ago. Basic. Monitored. But it worked. Then you have everything you need. Search for the Bible online. Start with the Gospel of John. Chapter 4, The Woman at the Well. Read about how Jesus spoke to a woman everyone despised. How he gave her dignity, value, hope. Read it tonight. And if it speaks to you, pray. Not to Allah. To Jesus. Tell him everything. He'll answer. I promise you, he'll answer. Footsteps upstairs. My mother moving around. We had seconds. If they catch me, I started. They might, Lena said honestly. Following Jesus is dangerous. It might cost you everything. But Sarah, you already have nothing. What's left to lose? She was right. In 2 days, I'd be married. My body wouldn't be mine. My choices wouldn't be mine. My life wouldn't be mine. I was already dead. What did a dead girl have to fear? That night, I waited until everyone slept. The house was silent except for my father's snoring and the occasional sound of my brothers shifting in their beds. I sat on my floor, back against the door, phone hidden under a blanket in case anyone came in. My hand shook as I typed, Bible Online Arabic. Dozens of results. I clicked the first one. A website. Simple. Clean. The words Holy Bible in elegant script. I navigated to the Gospel of John. Chapter 4. And I began to read. Jesus came to a town in Samaria called Sychar, and Jacob's well was there. Jesus, tired from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about noon. When a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" I paused. Jesus was talking to a woman. Directly. In public. That alone was shocking. In our culture, in our religion, that would be scandalous. Inappropriate. But he initiated the conversation. I kept reading. The woman was surprised too. She questioned him. And he didn't rebuke her. He engaged. Talked to her about living water. About eternal life. About worship. The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water so that I won't get thirsty and have to keep coming here to draw water." He told her, "Go, call your husband and come back." My stomach tightened. Here it comes. The condemnation. The shame. She was about to be exposed, humiliated. "I have no husband," she replied. Jesus said to her, "You are right when you say you have no husband. The fact is, you have had 5 husbands, and the man you now have is not your husband. What you have just said is quite true." I waited for the punishment. The stoning. The rejection. That's what would happen in my world. A woman with multiple husbands? Divorced or widowed that many times? Living with a man she wasn't married to? She'd be called Sharmuta. Whore. Driven from town. Maybe killed. But Jesus didn't condemn her. He just saw her. Knew her. Spoke truth without cruelty. And then? The woman said, I know that Messiah is coming. When he comes, he will explain everything to us. Then Jesus declared, I, the one speaking to you, I am he. I gasped. Out loud. Had to cover my mouth. Jesus revealed his identity, his divine identity, to a woman. A Samaritan woman. A woman with a scandalous past. A woman any good religious man would have avoided. But he chose her. Trusted her. Honored her with the truth of who he was. And then I read the ending of the passage. Many of the Samaritans from that town believed in him because of the woman's testimony. The woman's testimony. Her voice. Her story. It mattered. It led people to God. She wasn't silenced. She wasn't hidden. She was given a voice. A purpose. Worth. Tears streamed down my face. I read the passage again. And again. Looking for the catch. The but. The conditions. The part where Jesus told her she was less than, needed to submit, needed to cover, needed to be silent. It never came. He just loved her. Saw her. Valued her. Used her. I set the phone down. Pressed my hands against my mouth to keep from sobbing and waking the house. Because this was too much. Too big. Too different from everything I'd ever been taught. A God who spoke to women. Who listened to women. Who entrusted women with his message. A God who didn't see me as property. As shame. As less than. Was it possible? Could it be real? I thought about Allah. How I'd prayed for years and heard nothing. How the Quran described women as fields for men to plow. How the Hadith said most of hell was filled with women because we were deficient in intelligence and religion. How every imam, every teacher, every religious authority told me my worth was in my submission, my silence, my obedience to men. And I thought about this Jesus. Who stopped for a woman? Who spoke to a woman? Who revealed himself to a woman first after his resurrection? I'd keep reading and learn that later. Who seemed to actually, like women. Value women. See women as human. My phone was still open to the passage. I scrolled up and found the words Lena had written. If the sun sets you free, you will be free indeed. Free. I didn't even know what that meant anymore. But I wanted it. God, how I wanted it. I looked around my room. At the wedding dress hanging like a death sentence. At the jewelry boxes stacked on my dresser. At the barred window, decorative bars, but bars nonetheless. At the door with no lock on the inside because girls don't need privacy. Girls don't need safety from their own families. This was my cage. My prison. My tomb. And somewhere beyond it, beyond the rules and rituals and religions that crushed women under their weight, there was supposedly a God who saw me. Who loved me. Who called me daughter. I didn't know if I believed it yet. Belief would take time. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I had nothing left to lose. So I did what Lena said. I prayed. Not toward Mecca. Not in Arabic. Not following prescribed words and movements. I just talked. Jesus, I whispered into the darkness. I don't know if you're real. I don't know if you care. But if you do, if you're really different, if you really see women as human, then I need you. I'm 13 years old. I'm getting married in 2 days to a man who will hurt me. I'm trapped. I'm scared. I'm alone. And I can't do this anymore. If you're there, if you're listening, please. Please help me. Show me you're real. Show me I matter. Show me I'm worth more than this. Because right now, I don't believe it. I think I'm worthless. And if you don't save me, I'm going to die. Maybe not physically. But every part of me that matters, that's already dying. So please. If you're the God Lena says you are, save me. I waited. half expecting nothing. That's what I was used to. Silence. Emptiness. But something was different. I can't explain it. There was no voice. No vision. No light from heaven. But there was a presence. A warmth. The smallest sense that I wasn't alone in that room. That someone was listening. Really listening. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I felt the tiniest flicker of something I'd almost forgotten. Hope. The night before my wedding, I couldn't sleep. The house was silent. My dress hung on the back of my door, white and gold, elaborate, expensive. Shackles disguised as silk. Tomorrow morning, they'd come for me. The hairdressers, the makeup artists, the aunts who'd dress me like a doll. And by sunset, I'd be his. Sheikh Abdullah's. His property. His wife. His victim. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my phone hidden under my pillow. I'd been reading the Bible for hours every night since Lena gave me that note. The Gospel of John. Then Matthew. Then Luke. Story after story of Jesus healing women, teaching women, defending women, honoring women. Mary Magdalene, the woman everyone called demon-possessed, and Jesus freed her. Saw her worth. Made her the first witness to his resurrection. The woman caught in adultery, dragged before him by religious men ready to stone her. And Jesus said, "Let him who is without sin cast the first stone." They all left. Every single one. And Jesus told her, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." No condemnation. Just grace. Just love. The bleeding woman, unclean for 12 years according to religious law. She touched his garment and he healed her. Called her daughter. In front of everyone. Gave her dignity back. Story after story of a God who didn't just tolerate women. He elevated them. Valued them. Loved them. And I wanted that love so desperately it physically hurt. I'd been praying to Jesus every night. Whispered prayers. Desperate prayers. Begging him to be real. To help me. To show me a way out of tomorrow. But as the wedding day approached, I felt hope slipping away again. Maybe I'd been wrong. Maybe Jesus was just another beautiful story. Another God who didn't actually intervene. Another source of disappointment. I turned on my side, pulling my knees to my chest. Silent tears soaked my pillow. "Jesus," I whispered. "If you're real. I need you now. Not after the wedding. Not someday. Now. Tomorrow I become someone's property. Tomorrow I lose whatever's left of me. So if you're going to save me, please. It has to be now." The room stayed dark. Silent. The ceiling fan turned slowly overhead. Outside, a dog barked in the distance. Nothing. My heart sank. Of course. Of course he wasn't coming. Why would he? I was nobody. Just another Muslim girl in a world full of suffering. Why would the God of the universe care about me? I closed my eyes. Exhaustion pulled at me. Maybe if I slept, tomorrow would come faster. Maybe unconsciousness was the closest thing to mercy I'd get. But then. A light. Not from my lamp. Not from outside my window. But in my room. Soft. Golden. Warm. Like sunrise, but it was 2 a.m. My eyes flew open. I sat up, heart hammering. The light was growing brighter. Not harsh. Not blinding. Just present. Filling the room with something I can only describe as peace. Tangible peace. Like the air itself had changed. And in the center of the light. A figure. A man. He stood at the foot of my bed, and I should have been terrified. A man in my room at night, that was every nightmare I'd ever had. That was every warning I'd ever received. But I wasn't scared. I was, still. Calm. Like my body knew something my mind hadn't caught up to yet. He wore simple clothing. White and cream. His hair was dark, shoulder length. His skin was olive-toned like mine. Middle Eastern. He looked like he could have been from my city, my people. But his eyes. His eyes were different from any eyes I'd ever seen. Deep. Ancient. Filled with something I couldn't name. Sorrow and joy mixed together. Strength and tenderness. He looked at me and I felt seen. Not examined. Not evaluated. Not judged. Just seen. Known. Fully. Completely. I couldn't speak. Couldn't move. Could barely breathe. He smiled. Gentle. Sad. "Sarah," he said. And his voice, it was like water and honey and thunder and whispers all at once. I felt it in my chest, in my bones, in the deepest part of me that had been screaming silently for years. Who are you?" I managed to whisper, even though I already knew. Somehow I knew. "You know who I am," he said softly. "You've been calling me. I've been waiting for you to invite me in. And now I'm here." "Jesus?" His name came out like a question and a prayer and a sob all at once. "Yes, beloved. I'm here. Beloved." That word. I started crying. Couldn't help it. Great, gasping sobs that I had to muffle with my hands because I couldn't wake the house. Even now. Even with God standing in my room. I was still afraid of being caught. Jesus moved closer. Slowly. Like he didn't want to startle me. He knelt beside my bed. Knelt. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the God Lena had told me created the universe, was kneeling in front of me. A 13-year-old girl. A nobody. A piece of property scheduled to be sold in 12 hours. "Why are you crying, child?" he asked gently, even though he obviously knew. He knew everything. I could feel it. He wasn't asking for information. He was inviting me to speak. To voice it. To release it. Because, I choked on the words. Because no one's ever called me beloved before. Because I'm not beloved. I'm worthless. I'm less than. I'm just a girl. A burden. Property. And tomorrow, I couldn't finish. Couldn't say it out loud. The horror of tomorrow. "Look at me, Sarah." I shook my head. Couldn't. I was too ashamed. Too dirty. Too broken. "Please," he whispered. "Look at me." Slowly, so slowly, I lifted my eyes to his. And he was crying. Jesus was crying. For me. Tears ran down his face as he looked at me, and in his eyes I saw such pain, such anger, such fierce love that I almost looked away again. But I couldn't. I was frozen. Caught. "You are not worthless," he said, and his voice shook with emotion. "You are not less than. You are not property. You are mine. My daughter. My beloved. My treasure. I formed you in your mother's womb. I knitted you together. I chose your eyes, your heart, your voice. I made you female on purpose, Sarah. Not as a curse. Not as a mistake. Not as a punishment. I made you a woman because women reflect my image just as much as men do. You are not less than your brothers. You are not worth less. You are equal. Precious. Irreplaceable." But they said, my voice broke. They said Allah made women deficient. That we're less intelligent. That we're. They lied. His voice was firm. Not angry at me. Angry for me. They twisted truth to control you. To diminish you. To keep you powerless. But that's not who I am. That's not what I created you to be. I don't see you as deficient, Sarah. I see you as glorious. Made in my image. Capable of bearing my presence. Worthy of my love. Do you hear me? Worthy. I sobbed harder. I couldn't help it. 13 years of being told I was worthless. 13 years of believing I was a mistake. A burden. A shame. And here was God Himself telling me the opposite. But tomorrow, I gasped. Tomorrow He's going to, I can't. I know. Jesus reached out, slowly, giving me time to pull away if I wanted. But I didn't want to. I leaned forward as He cupped my face in His hands. His palms were warm. Gentle. And I saw them, the scars. In the center of each palm. Jagged. Old but somehow still fresh. Wounds that should have killed him but didn't. I touched one with trembling fingers. What happened? I died for you, He said simply. They nailed me to a cross. Beat me. Mocked me. Killed me. Because I love you. Because I wanted to pay for every sin, every shame, every wrong done to you and be why you. I wanted to bridge the gap between you and the Father. I wanted to make you my own. So I died. And 3 days later, I rose again. Death couldn't hold me. Sin couldn't keep me. I conquered it all. For you. But why? I whispered. Why would you die for me? I'm nobody. I'm just. You are everything to me. His voice was fierce now. Passionate. Do you understand? You, Sarah. Not just humanity in general. Not just sinners. You. I would have died if you were the only person on earth. That's how much you're worth to me. That's how precious you are. That's how deeply, completely, eternally I love you. I couldn't speak. Couldn't process. It was too much. Too big. Too good to be true. They told you your worth is in your purity, Jesus continued. In your virginity. In your obedience to men. But that's a lie. Your worth is in who you are. My creation. My daughter. My beloved. And nothing, nothing, can take that away. Not a man. Not a marriage. Not violence. Not shame. Nothing. You are mine. And I have written your name on the palms of my hands. He showed me his scars again. You are permanently marked on me. I will never forget you. Never abandon you. Never stop loving you. Then save me, I begged. Please. Please don't let tomorrow happen. I can't survive it. I'd rather die. Please. His expression grew even more sorrowful. Oh, my daughter. I wish I could tell you that following me means no more suffering. But it doesn't. This world is broken. Cruel. Full of sin and pain. And I don't always stop the hard things from happening. Not because I don't care. But because I'm building something bigger. Something eternal. And sometimes, his voice caught. Sometimes I walk with you through the fire instead of pulling you out of it. But I promise you this, you will never walk alone. I will be with you every moment. Every breath. Every tear. I will carry you. I will sustain you. And I will use even this, even the worst thing, for good. For your freedom. For my glory. For the salvation of others. But how? I cried. How can rape and slavery be used for good? How can tomorrow be? Watch, he said gently. Trust me. I know you can't see it now. But I'm already at work. I've been working since before you were born. And I'm going to do something so miraculous, so impossible, so clearly divine that everyone will know it was me. Not you. Not coincidence. Me. Will you trust me, Sarah? Even when it's hard? Even when it hurts? I wanted to say yes. But I was terrified. What if I'm not strong enough? You're not, he said with a small smile. But I am. And my strength is made perfect in your weakness. You don't have to be strong, beloved. You just have to be mine. Say yes to me. Give me your life, all of it, the good and the broken and the terrifying. Give me your pain. Your rage. Your fear. Your tomorrow. Let me carry it. Let me fight for you. Let me love you. Just say yes. I looked at him. At this God who knelt before me. Who wept for me. Who died for me. Who saw me not as property but as daughter. Who valued me not for what I could do but for who I was. And I realized, I'd been searching my whole life for this. For someone to see me. To love me. To tell me I mattered. I'd begged Allah for it and heard silence. But here was Jesus, answering every prayer I'd ever prayed and some I didn't even know how to voice. Yes, I whispered. Yes, Jesus. I'm yours. All of me. Forever. Even if tomorrow happens. Even if I have to walk through fire. I'm yours. Save me. Not just from tomorrow. From myself. From the lies. From the emptiness. Save me. He smiled. And it was like the sun breaking through clouds. Like spring after endless winter. Pure. Radiant. Joy. You are saved, beloved, he said. The moment you called my name, you were mine. Nothing can snatch you from my hand. Not your family. Not your culture. Not fear or shame or sin or death. You are mine. And I am yours. Forever. He leaned forward and kissed my forehead. His lips were warm. The touch burned like fire but didn't hurt. It healed. Something inside me, something that had been shattered and bleeding for years, began to mend. Not all at once. But starting. The beginning of healing. Sleep now, he whispered. Tomorrow will be hard. But I'll be with you. Every second. I promise. Don't leave, I begged. Please don't. I never leave, he said firmly. I'm in you now. You invited me into your heart and I'm staying. You can't see me with your physical eyes after tonight. But I'm here. Always. When you're scared, I'm with you. When you're in pain, I'm with you. When you want to give up, I'm with you. Talk to me. I'll answer. Not always with words. But with peace. With strength. With my presence. You'll know. Trust me. The light began to fade. He stood, backing away slowly. But his eyes never left mine. I love you, Sarah, he said. Remember that. In the darkest moment tomorrow, and there will be dark moments, remember, Jesus loves you. You are his daughter. You are free. Not physically yet. But spiritually. Eternally. No one can enslave your soul. It belongs to me now. And then he was gone. The room was dark again. Normal. The ceiling fan still turning. The wedding dress still hanging on the door. But everything was different. I was different. I touched my forehead where he'd kissed me. I could still feel the warmth. Still feel the presence. He said he was in me now. And I believed it. Because I felt it. A fullness where there'd been emptiness. A light where there'd been darkness. A peace that made no logical sense given what was coming tomorrow. I lay back down. Pulled the blanket over me. And for the first time in weeks, maybe years, I slept. Deep. Peaceful. Unafraid. Because I wasn't alone anymore. Jesus was with me. And somehow, impossibly, that was enough. I woke to my mother shaking me. Sunlight streamed through the window. My wedding day. Sarah, get up. They're here. The stylists. We need to start preparing you. I sat up slowly. For a moment, I'd forgotten. The wedding. Sheikh Abdullah. The end of my childhood. But then it all came crashing back, the terror, the dread, the sense of being marched toward execution. Except something was different. I wasn't alone in the fear. I could feel him. Jesus. A presence like a hand on my shoulder. Like someone standing behind me, whispering, I'm here. I'm with you. Breathe. I've got you. Sarah? My mother's voice was sharp. Did you hear me? Yes, Ummi. I'm coming. She looked at me strangely. You seem different. I was different. I'd encountered God last night. The real God. Not the distant, silent deity I'd prayed to my whole life, but the one who knelt before me. Who wept for me. Who called me beloved. But I couldn't tell her that. She'd never understand. Worse, she'd tell my father. And that would be the end. I'm just tired, I said quietly. She nodded, satisfied. Come. We don't have much time. The next 4 hours were a blur of hands on my body. Pulling. Tugging. Painting. Primping. The hairdresser curled my hair in elaborate spirals. The makeup artist covered my face in layers of foundation, powder, eyeshadow, lipstick until I didn't recognize myself in the mirror. They strapped me into the wedding dress, 15 pounds of silk and beading and pearls. Pinned the veil. Fastened the jewelry. Heavy gold necklaces. Bracelets. Earrings that pulled up my earlobes. Beautiful, everyone said. Mashallah. The Sheikh will be so pleased. The Sheikh. My husband. The man who would own me in a few hours. I stared at myself in the full-length mirror. The girl looking back was a stranger. A painted doll. A sacrifice wrapped in white silk. I looked like a bride. I felt like a corpse. I'm with you, that quiet voice whispered in my spirit. You're not alone. It's time, my mother said. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying while they dressed me. But she didn't stop them. Didn't save me. Just cried. Helpless. Or maybe just unwilling to risk herself for me. They led me downstairs. The house was full of people now. Relatives. Neighbors. Friends of my father. The women ululated, that shrill sound of celebration. The men stood in clusters, smoking, talking. And in the center of it all, in his white thobe and formal bisht, sat Sheikh Abdullah. He watched me descend the stairs. His eyes traveled over me slowly. Assessing. Approving. Like I was livestock he'd purchased and was now inspecting for quality. I wanted to run. Wanted to scream. Wanted to tear off the dress and the jewelry and the makeup and just run until I couldn't run anymore. Wait, Jesus whispered. Trust me. Wait. They sat me next to Sheikh Abdullah. Close enough that his leg pressed against mine through the fabric. Close enough that I could smell him, tobacco and old sweat and something medicinal. His hand reached over and covered mine. His palm was damp. Possessive. You look adequate, he said. Not to me. To my father. Like I wasn't even there. A bit thin. But we'll fatten her up once she's eating properly. The men laughed. My father beamed. She's a good girl. Obedient. You'll have no trouble with her. The imam arrived. An old man with a white beard and cold eyes. He greeted Sheikh Abdullah warmly. They were friends, apparently. Business associates. Men who moved in the same circles. Who held the same views about women. About property. About power. He barely glanced at me. Shall we begin the nikah? He asked. The marriage contract. The binding. The moment I would legally become Sheikh Abdullah's possession. Yes, my father said. Let's proceed. The Imam opened his Quran. Began reciting verses in Arabic. Verses about marriage. About wives obeying husbands. About men being protectors and maintainers of women. About paradise being under the mother's feet but only if she serves her husband well. I'd heard these verses my whole life. They'd been used to teach me my place. To keep me small. To keep me silent. But now, with Jesus in my heart, they sounded different. Hollow. Empty. Like chains rattling. Like a prison cell locking. Don't sign it, Jesus whispered. My heart stopped. What? Don't sign the contract. Trust me. I'm about to move. But you have to choose me. Publicly. Out loud. In front of everyone. It's going to cost you. But I'm asking you to trust me. Terror flooded through me. If I refused to sign, my father would. I didn't even want to think about what my father would do. Honor killing wasn't just a threat. It was a promise. Girls who shamed their families died. Everyone knew it. Everyone accepted it. I know, Jesus said gently. I know what I'm asking. I know the cost. But Sarah, if you sign that contract, you're choosing slavery. Physical, spiritual, eternal. And I'm offering you freedom. Real freedom. The kind that starts in your soul even if your body is still in chains. Choose me. I'll protect you. I promise. The Imam was still reciting. Explaining the terms. The mahr, bride price. Sheikh Abdullah had already paid half. $4,000. My father had already spent it. There was no going back. Financially, legally, socially, this was done. Except it wasn't. Not yet. Not until I signed. And now, the Imam said, turning to me for the first time. The bride must consent. Sarah, do you accept Sheikh Abdullah ibn Rashid as your husband, with the agreed mahr, according to Islamic law? Everyone looked at me. 50 pairs of eyes. Waiting. Expecting. Certain of my answer. My father's eyes were a warning. Say yes. Don't you dare shame me. My mother's eyes were pleading. Say yes. Please. Don't make this harder than it has to be. Sheikh Abdullah's eyes were possessive. Say yes. You're already mine. We both know it. But Jesus, I couldn't see him, but I felt him standing right behind me. And his voice was the only one that mattered. Choose me, beloved. Choose freedom. Choose life. I'm with you. I opened my mouth. My voice came out quiet at first. Shaking. No. Silence. Complete, shocked silence. The Imam blinked. I'm sorry, what? Louder this time. Stronger. No. I don't consent. I don't accept this marriage. The room exploded. What? My father leapt to his feet. His face went purple with rage. What did you just say? I said no. I stood. My legs shook. The wedding dress weighed me down. But I stood. I don't want to marry him. I never did. And I'm not going to. Sheikh Abdullah stood too. His face was calm but his eyes were dead. Dangerous. Your father accepted on your behalf. The contract is binding. Not without my consent, I said. I didn't even know where the words were coming from. Jesus. They were coming from Jesus. And I don't consent. I won't marry you. I won't belong to you. I belong to someone else now. Who? My father roared. He grabbed my arm, fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. Who have you been with? Who have you shamed us with? Tell me now or I swear by Allah. Jesus, I said. And the name felt like power. Like light. Like a sword cutting through darkness. I belong to Jesus. He's my Lord. My savior. My God. And he says I'm not property. He says I'm a daughter. He says I'm free. So I'm not signing anything. I'm not marrying anyone. I'm choosing Jesus. The room went silent again. But this time it was different. Horrified. Deadly. My father's hand moved from my arm to my throat. He shoved me backwards until I hit the wall. His face was inches from mine. You've lost your mind, he hissed. You've become an apostate. A kafir. Do you know what that means? Do you know what I have to do now? Yes, I whispered. I was crying now. Terrified. But also strangely calm. Because Jesus was there. I felt him. Surrounding me. Shielding me. I know. But I'm not going back. I can't. Jesus is real. He loves me. And he's worth dying for. Then you'll get your wish. My father released my throat and turned to my brothers. Khalil. Ahmed. Get the car. We're taking her to the desert. This ends tonight. No. No, no, no. The desert. That's where they did it. Where honor killings happened. Far from witnesses. Easy to hide the body. I'd heard the stories. Now I was about to become one. My mother screamed. Please. Please, she's just confused. She doesn't know what she's saying. We can fix this. Please don't. She's dead to us, my father said coldly. She was dead the moment she spoke that filth. The moment she chose a false god over her family. Over Islam. Over honor. Get her in the car. Now. My brothers moved toward me. Khalil, who'd once taught me to read, had tears streaming down his face but his jaw was set. Ahmed looked sick. But neither of them stopped. Neither of them said no. They were going to do it. They were going to kill me. This was it. The end. Jesus had asked me to trust him, and I had, and now I was about to die. Not yet, Jesus whispered. Watch. Khalil reached for me. And the windows exploded. Not shattered. Exploded. Inward. Glass flying everywhere. People screamed. Everyone ducked. And through the broken windows, a wind rushed in. Not natural wind. This was powerful. Warm. Alive. It swirled through the room like a living thing, knocking over furniture, blowing out candles, sending papers flying. And in the wind, I heard it. A voice. Deep. Thunderous. Echoing. Touch her and you touch me. Everyone froze. My father's face went white. Sheikh Abdullah stumbled backwards. The Imam dropped his Quran. The wind gathered around me. Protective. Like arms. Like a shield. And I felt him, Jesus, so close I could almost see him. Almost touch him. She is mine, the voice said. It came from everywhere and nowhere. From the wind and the air and the very walls. I have written her name on my hands. I have bought her with my blood. And no one will harm her. My father fell to his knees. Not in worship. In terror. Allah, forgive us. I am not Allah, the voice boomed. I am Jesus. The one she chose. The one who chose her first. And I am taking her now. Anyone who follows will answer to me. The front door flew open. No one touched it. It just opened. And standing in the doorway, backlit by sunlight, was Lena. But she wasn't alone. There were others. 3 women I didn't recognize. And a man. Tall. Kind eyes. A cross around his neck. Sarah, Lena called. It's time. Come with us. Now. I looked at my family. My father, kneeling, shaking. My mother, sobbing. My brothers, frozen in fear. Sheikh Abdullah, backing toward the door. The guests, panicking, rushing to leave. This was it. The choice. Stay and die. Or run and live. Run, beloved, Jesus whispered. I'll carry you. I gathered my massive dress in my hands and I ran. Stumbled. Nearly fell. But Lena was there. She grabbed my arm. Helped me. The other women surrounded me, protecting me as we rushed out the door. Behind us, my father was screaming. Come back. Come back. You're dead. You hear me? Dead. But I didn't stop. Didn't look back. There was a van waiting. the man opened the back doors. Get in. Quickly. We piled in. Me, Lena, the 3 women. The man slammed the doors and jumped into the driver's seat. The engine roared to life. As we pulled away, I looked out the back window. My father was in the street, running after us. But we were too fast. He grew smaller. Smaller. Until he was gone. My family was gone. My home was gone. My old life was gone. But Jesus was right there beside me. In me. Around me. And his voice was gentle as he whispered. Welcome home, daughter. Welcome to freedom. The van drove for what felt like hours. I sat in the back, still wearing my wedding dress, still shaking, still processing what had just happened. The windows exploding. The voice of God. My father on his knees. The impossible escape. It was real. All of it. Jesus had saved me. Exactly like he promised. Lena sat beside me, holding my hand. She didn't speak. Just held on. Grounding me. Reminding me I wasn't dreaming. This was real. I was free. Actually free. The 3 other women in the van watched me with gentle eyes. One of them, older, maybe 50, with gray streaking her dark hair, finally spoke. My name is Amira, she said in Arabic. I'm originally from Egypt. I escaped 15 years ago. Honor killing. My brothers tried to kill me because I converted to Christianity. Jesus saved me the same way he saved you. With a miracle. I stared at her. The same way? She nodded. A light. A voice. Supernatural protection. Jesus doesn't always work the same way, but when he moves, everyone knows it's him. No one can deny it. Your family saw God today, Sarah. They may not accept him. But they saw him. The second woman leaned forward. Younger. Maybe 30. I'm Fatima. From Iraq. I was married at 14. Escaped at 17 with my infant daughter. My husband hunted me for 2 years. But Jesus hid us. Protected us. Led us here. The third woman smiled sadly. Noor. From Saudi Arabia. I was going to be the 4th wife of a man who'd beaten his previous 3 wives to death. One of them was my sister. I prayed to Jesus, didn't even know who he really was, just heard the name from a housemaid, and he answered. Got me out the night before the wedding. My eyes filled with tears. You all understand. We understand, Amira said firmly. We know what you just gave up. We know what it costs. And we know what you just gained. You're not alone, sister. You're part of a family now. The family of Jesus. And we don't abandon each other. The man driving glanced back at us through the rearview mirror. He had kind eyes. Weathered. I'm Pastor David, he said in accented Arabic. I run a safe house for women escaping persecution. You'll be safe there. We have security. Resources. Legal help. And most importantly, community. Other women who've walked this road. Who know what you're feeling. Where are we going? I asked. My voice sounded small. Childlike. Across the border, he said. We have a network. Safe houses throughout the region. Your father will look for you, they always do. But we're very good at hiding people. Jesus has protected this ministry for 20 years. He won't stop now. The landscape outside changed as we drove. City gave way to countryside. Buildings became sparse. We were heading toward the border. I realized we were going into Turkey. Across the line where my father's authority ended. I looked down at my wedding dress. Bloodstained now from the broken glass. Torn. Ruined. This dress that cost more than most families earned in a year. This symbol of my oppression. My cage. Can I take this off? I whispered. Lena smiled. Yes, beloved. Let's get you out of that prison. The van pulled over at a rest stop. Lena and Amira helped me into the bathroom. They unzipped the dress. It took 3 of them to undo all the clasps and buttons and ties. Peeled it off me layer by layer. Underneath I wore simple white undergarments. Nothing fancy. Nothing beautiful. Just me. Amira handed me clothes from a bag they'd brought. Jeans. A simple t-shirt. A light jacket. These are yours, she said. Normal clothes. Free clothes. I dressed slowly. Looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. Without the makeup, I looked young. 13 again. Just a girl. Not a bride. Not property. Just Sarah. Lena stood behind me, her reflection meeting mine in the mirror. How do you feel? Naked, I admitted. Exposed. Terrified. But also, I touched the cross necklace Amira had put in the clothing pile. Small. Silver. Simple. Also, lighter. Like I can breathe for the first time. You can, Lena said. That's what freedom feels like. Scary and exhilarating and overwhelming all at once. But you'll adjust. And Jesus will help you. Every step. We left the wedding dress in the bathroom garbage. Drove away without looking back. We crossed the border at night. Pastor David had papers, falsified, I assumed, but good enough. The guards barely glanced at us. Church group, Pastor David said in Turkish. Heading to a conference. They waved us through. And just like that, I was in another country. Beyond my father's reach. Beyond my family's control. Beyond the laws that had enslaved me. Free. The safe house was in a small village outside of Gaziantep. A 2-story building with high walls and a coated gate. Simple. Unremarkable from the outside. But inside. Inside, there were women everywhere. Sitting in the common room, talking quietly. Cooking in the kitchen. Playing with children in the corner. Women of all ages. All backgrounds. All wearing the same expression I probably wore, haunted. Grateful. Traumatized. Healing. Welcome, Pastor David said. This is Grace House. Your home for as long as you need it. A young woman approached, maybe 25, with scars on her arms and a shy smile. I'm Zara, she said. I coordinate the house. Let me show you your room. She led me upstairs. Down a hallway lined with doors. Each one had a name tag. Amira. Fatima. Noor. Maryam. Layla. Zara. Women. Survivors. Sisters. The last door on the right was blank. This is yours, Zara said. You can decorate it however you want. Make it home. She opened the door. The room was small. Simple. A single bed. A desk. A chair. A closet. A window with bars, for safety, I understood, and curtains. Simple blue curtains. It's not much, Zara apologized. It's perfect, I whispered. Because it was mine. For the first time in my life, I had a space that was mine. A door I could lock from the inside. A bed no one else would share. Privacy. Safety. Choice. I sat on the bed. It was soft. Clean. I pressed my face into the pillow and I sobbed. Great, heaving sobs that shook my whole body. Lena sat beside me, rubbing my back. Letting me cry. Not telling me to stop. Not telling me to be grateful. Just letting me grieve. Because that's what this was. Grief. I'd lost everything. My family. My mother. My brothers. My home. My language, we were in Turkey now. Everything I'd ever known was gone. I know, Lena whispered. I know it hurts. It's okay to hurt. Jesus doesn't ask you to pretend you're fine. He just asks you to let him hold you while you break. So break. He's got you. I cried until I had nothing left. Until my eyes were swollen and my throat was raw and my chest ached. And then I lay there, exhausted, empty, and whispered, Jesus, this hurts. This hurts so much. And I felt him. That presence. That warmth. Wrapping around me like arms. Like a blanket. And his voice, so gentle, I know, beloved. I know. I'm carrying you. Rest now. I've got you. I slept. For the first time in months, I slept without nightmares. Without fear. Without dread. Because I was safe. Finally, truly safe. The next days were a blur of adjustment. Learning the routine of the house. Meeting the other women. Hearing their stories, each one more heartbreaking than the last. Amira, who'd been burned with acid by her brothers. The scars covered half her face, her neck, her chest. But she smiled easily now. Jesus gave me a new face, she said. Not physically. But when I look in the mirror, I see his beloved daughter. That's the face that matters. Fatima, who'd escaped with her daughter but left behind 2 sons. My husband kept them, she said, tears streaming. Said I could take the girl, she's worthless anyway. But the boys stay. They're his. I haven't seen them in 5 years. They're 8 and 10 now. I don't even know if they remember me. But I pray. Every day. That Jesus protects them. That one day, maybe they'll find me. Noor, who'd been forced to undergo FGM, female genital mutilation, at age 7. They cut me, she said flatly. Said it was religious. Said it would keep me pure. But it was just another way to control women. To take our pleasure. Our power. Jesus is healing that. Slowly. The physical scars won't go away. But the shame, he's taking the shame. Miriam, who'd watched her sister burned alive in an honor killing. I was supposed to marry the same man, she said. After they killed her. But I ran. And Jesus? He sent someone. A stranger. A Christian woman who saw me at the bus station, crying, and just knew. She brought me here. Saved my life. Story after story of violence. Trauma. Suffering. But also. Story after story of Jesus. Showing up. Rescuing. Healing. Holding. We were a family of broken women. But we were family. And Jesus was putting us back together, piece by piece. 3 weeks after my escape, Pastor David called me into his office. Sarah, he said gently. I need to tell you something. Your father has issued a warrant. For your return. He's claiming kidnapping. International abduction. He's mobilized family networks across multiple countries. You're being hunted. My blood went cold. Can they find me here? No, he said firmly. Not unless someone betrays us. And that won't happen. Everyone here knows the stakes. But Sarah, you need to understand, you can never go back. Ever. If you set foot in Syria again, you'll be killed. Not arrested. Not returned. Killed. Your father has made that clear. He's publicly disowned you. Called for your death. For the sake of family honor. I nodded slowly. I'd known this. Deep down. But hearing it spoken out loud made it real. Final. What about my mother? I whispered. My brothers? Pastor David's expression softened. Your mother is under house surveillance. Your father doesn't trust her. He thinks she helped you. Your brothers, he hesitated. Your brothers have joined the search. I'm sorry. Khalil. Ahmed. The brothers who'd once played with me. Protected me. Khalil, who taught me to read. Ahmed, who snuck me extra dessert when I was little. They were hunting me now. Ready to kill me if they found me. They're gone, I whispered. My whole family. They're all gone. Yes, Pastor David said. They are. And I won't lie to you, that pain doesn't disappear. You'll grieve them for the rest of your life. But Sarah, you have a new family now. The family of God. Sisters who love you. A Father in heaven who will never abandon you. And a Savior who gave everything to call you his own. I looked down at my hands. At the fading henna stains from the wedding that never happened. At the cross necklace around my wrist. It's worth it, I said quietly. Losing them. It's worth it. Because I found Jesus. And he's everything they said he wasn't. He's real. He's good. He's love. And I'd rather have him and nothing else than have everything and not have him. Pastor David smiled. That's the testimony of every saint who ever lived. Well done, daughter. Jesus is proud of you. Proud. God was proud of me. Not ashamed. Not disappointed. Proud. I went back to my room that night and I prayed. Not a desperate prayer this time. A grateful one. Jesus, I whispered. Thank you. For saving me. For seeing me. For loving me enough to wreck my life so you could rebuild it. I lost my family. But I gained you. And you're worth everything. I don't know what comes next. I don't know if I'll ever stop missing my mother. If I'll ever stop having nightmares. If I'll ever feel normal again. But I know you're with me. And that's enough. That's more than enough. And in the quiet of my room, in the safety of the house Jesus had provided, surrounded by sisters who understood, I felt peace. Deep, unshakable peace. Not because my circumstances were perfect. They weren't. I was a refugee. A fugitive. A girl without a country or a family or a future I could predict. But I had Jesus. And Jesus had me. And that was everything. It's been 3 years since that day. 3 years since the wedding that never happened. 3 years since Jesus called my name and I answered. I'm 16 now. Still at Grace House, though my role has changed. I'm not just a resident anymore. I'm a helper. A mentor. When new girls arrive, terrified, traumatized, torn between relief and grief, I'm one of the first faces they see. And I tell them what I wish someone had told me earlier. You're safe now. You're seen. You're loved. And this pain you're feeling, it won't last forever. Jesus is going to heal you. Not all at once. But day by day. Breath by breath. He'll put you back together. I promise. Because he has. Put me back together, I mean. Not perfectly. I still have nightmares sometimes. I still wake up crying for my mother. I still flinch when men raise their voices. I still struggle with feeling worthless, with believing the lies my culture taught me about my value as a woman. But Jesus meets me in those moments. Every single time. When the nightmares come, he sits with me. I feel his presence in the dark. That warmth. That peace. And he reminds me, you're safe. I'm here. They can't touch you. You're mine. When I miss my mother, he lets me cry. Doesn't rush me. Doesn't tell me I should be over it by now. He just grieves with me. And sometimes, in the quiet after the tears, I feel him whisper, I'm close to the brokenhearted. I save those who are crushed in spirit. Your tears matter. Your pain matters. You matter. When I feel worthless, he shows me scripture. Verse after verse about my identity in him. You are chosen. You are royal. You are holy. You are beloved. You are mine. And slowly, so slowly, I'm learning to believe it. To see myself the way he sees me. Not as damaged goods. Not as a runaway. Not as a failure. But as a daughter. His daughter. Precious. Treasured. Valuable beyond measure. The healing isn't linear. Some days I feel strong. Confident. Free. Other days I feel like I'm drowning again. Like the weight of everything I've lost is crushing me. But even on those days, Jesus doesn't leave. He stays. He carries me. And he reminds me that healing isn't about feeling perfect. It's about knowing I'm held. Life at Grace House has become home. A real home. The kind I never had before. There are 10 of us living here now. 10 women, ranging from age 13 to 62. All of us escapees. All of us survivors. All of us Jesus followers. We eat together. Pray together. Cry together. Laugh together. It's messy and beautiful and hard and holy all at once. Amira has become like a mother to me. She braids my hair when I can't sleep. She teaches me to cook, not because women have to cook, but because I asked her to. Because I want to learn. Because choice makes all the difference. She tells me stories about Egypt. About her children, 3 daughters she had to leave behind. They're grown now. Married. She hasn't seen them in 15 years. But she prays for them every morning. And she believes, that one day, Jesus will reunite them. Fatima teaches me Turkish. We practice together in the evenings. She's patient with my mistakes. Encouraging. She's working towards citizenship so she and her daughter can stay permanently. Can build a real life here. Her daughter, Yasmin, is 8 now. She doesn't remember Syria. Doesn't remember her father. She only knows freedom. And watching her run through the house, laughing, playing, safe, it gives us all hope. This is what we're fighting for. This is what we're surviving for. So the next generation doesn't have to. Noor has become my best friend. We're closest in age, she's 18. We stay up late talking about everything. Boys. The future. Whether we'll ever feel normal. Whether we'll ever be able to trust enough to fall in love. Whether our trauma has ruined us for marriage. Jesus says we're not ruined, Noor told me one night. He says we're refined. Like golden fire. The heat didn't destroy us. It purified us. Made us stronger. More valuable. Do you believe that? I asked. She was quiet for a long moment. I'm trying to. Some days I do. Some days. I just feel broken. Me too, I admitted. But maybe that's okay. Maybe we're allowed to be both. Refined and broken. Healing and hurting. Strong and struggling. Maybe that's what it means to be human. Maybe that's what it means to need Jesus, she said. And we both fell asleep that night praying. Asking him to help us believe. To help us heal. To help us become the women he created us to be. I've started leading a Bible study. Once a week. For the younger girls. It's nothing fancy. We sit in the common room with our Arabic Bibles and we read together. Study together. Ask questions together. Last week we studied the woman at the well again, the passage that changed my life. And I watched these girls, these precious daughters of God, read about Jesus honoring a woman. Trusting a woman. Using a woman. And I watched their faces light up with the same wonder I felt 3 years ago. He chose her, one girl asked. 13 years old. Rescued 2 months ago from a forced marriage. He could have revealed himself to anyone. To a priest. To a king. But he chose her? He chose her, I confirmed. Because he values women. He always has. The world tells us we're less than. That our voices don't matter. That we're only valuable if we're quiet, obedient, useful to men. But Jesus? Jesus says we're image bearers. Co-heirs with Christ. Daughters of the King. Our gender doesn't diminish our worth. It displays it. We reflect parts of God's nature that men can't. And Jesus celebrates that. Tears streamed down her face. I've never heard that before. Neither had I said. Until Jesus showed me. And now I'm showing you. And one day, you'll show someone else. That's how this works. We pass the truth on. We pull each other out of the lies. We remind each other who we are. After the study, she came to me privately. Sarah, she whispered. I want to be baptized. I want to publicly declare that I'm Jesus's. That I'm choosing him. Will you be there? I held her hands. I'll be right beside you. We all will. This is your family now. And we celebrate every step of freedom. Last Sunday, we gathered at a small church that partners with Grace House. She was baptized. Went under the water as a slave. Came up as a daughter. And we all cried. Every single one of us. Because we remembered our own baptisms. Our own declarations. Our own moments of choosing Jesus over everything else. This is the life he's given me. Not the life I expected. Not the life I would have chosen if you'd asked me at 13. But it's a good life. A full life. A free life. But I'd be lying if I said it was easy. That following Jesus solved everything. Because it didn't. I'm still stateless. Still a refugee. My Syrian passport is useless. If I use it, my family will be alerted. I can't go back. Can't return. Can't visit my mother's grave when she dies. Can't attend my brother's weddings. Can't hold my future nieces and nephews. I'm erased from my family tree. Dead to them. That grief is constant. It never fully goes away. I've had to learn to carry it. To make room for it alongside the joy. To accept that I can be both, grateful for freedom and mourning what it cost. I also struggle with trust. With men especially. Pastor David is kind. Safe. But even he makes me nervous sometimes. When he moves too quickly. When he raises his voice, even in excitement, not anger, I flinch. I can't help it. My body remembers. My body holds trauma my mind has tried to release. I'm working on it. We have a counselor who comes weekly. A Christian woman trained in trauma therapy. She's teaching me that my reactions are normal. That I'm not broken. That my body is trying to protect me. And slowly, so slowly, I'm learning to feel safe again. To trust again. To believe that not all men are predators. That some, like Pastor David, like the Christian men who help run this ministry, are actually trying to protect women. To serve women. To honor women the way Jesus does. It's hard work. Healing. Some days I want to give up. Want to just accept that I'll always be damaged. Always be afraid. Always be less than. But then Jesus reminds me, you're not damaged. You're developing. You're not afraid. You're learning courage. You're not less than. You're becoming more. More like me. More whole. More free. Trust the process. Trust me. So I do. I trust him. Even when it's hard. Even when I don't understand. Even when healing feels impossible. Because he's never failed me. Not once. Every promise he made that night in my bedroom, he's kept them all. He said he'd be with me. He has been. He said he'd protect me. He has. He said he'd heal me. He is. Jesus doesn't lie. And Jesus doesn't abandon his daughters. Sister, if you're watching this, and I believe you are, because Jesus led you here, I need you to hear me. If you're Muslim, I know what you're thinking. This is blasphemy. This is haram. This will send me to hell. I thought that too. I was terrified. But then I met Jesus. And I realized, it's not blasphemy to seek truth. It's not haram to question. It's not hell to choose a God who actually loves you. Allah was silent my whole life. I begged him. Prayed to him. Obeyed every rule. And he never answered. Not once. But Jesus? Jesus showed up. Jesus spoke. Jesus saved me. That's not coincidence. That's revelation. And the Quran itself tells you to read the Injil, the Gospel. It tells you that Jesus was born of a virgin. That he performed miracles. That he's called the Word of God. That he never sinned. If the Quran says all that about Jesus, why not read his words? Why not investigate for yourself? What are you afraid of? If Islam is true, it can withstand your questions. And if it's not, don't you want to know? I'm not asking you to reject your family, your culture, your heritage. I'm asking you to seek truth. And if you seek with an honest heart, Jesus will reveal himself. I promise. He did for me. He's done it for every woman in this house. He'll do it for you. If you're a woman trapped in abuse, Muslim or not, listen to me. You are not worthless. You are not deserving of violence. You are not property. I know they tell you it's your fault. That you provoke him. That if you were more obedient, more submissive, more quiet, he'd be kinder. That's a lie. Abuse is never your fault. Violence is never justified. And staying is not noble, it's dangerous. Jesus doesn't ask you to stay in situations that destroy you. He asks you to value yourself. To protect yourself. To run if you need to. There are people who will help. Safe houses like this one exist all over the world. Churches. Organizations. Networks of believers who've dedicated their lives to rescuing women like you. Like me. You don't have to die to be free. You just have to be brave enough to ask for help. And I know, that's terrifying. I know you're afraid he'll find you. Afraid your family will disown you. Afraid you'll lose your children. Afraid you can't survive alone. But Jesus can do miracles. He did one for me. He can do one for you. Just ask him. Whisper his name. Jesus, help me. That's all it takes. He hears. He sees. And he will answer. If you're a mother, watching this and thinking about your daughters, please. Please. Don't do to them what was done to you. Don't pass on the chains. Don't lock them in the same cage you're in. I know you think you're protecting them. I know you think, this is our culture. This is how it's always been. This is survival. But it's not survival. It's slow death. And your daughters deserve more. They deserve life. Real life. Free life. You have more power than you think. Maybe you can't leave. Maybe you can't save yourself. But you can plant seeds. You can whisper truths. You can slip a note. Hide a phone number. Give them tools for escape even if you can't escape yourself. And if you can leave, if there's any way possible, do it. Run. Take your daughters and run. Jesus will catch you. I promise he will. He caught me. He'll catch you too. Don't sacrifice your daughters on the altar of honor. Don't trade their freedom for family approval. Don't choose silence over their safety. Choose them. Choose life. Choose Jesus. And watch him make a way where there was no way. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I'll ever get citizenship. Ever go to college. Ever get married. Ever have children of my own. Ever see my mother again, even just once, to tell her I forgive her. To tell her I understand. To tell her I love her despite everything. I don't know any of that. But I know this. Jesus is with me. He's in me. He's for me. And nothing can separate me from his love. Not persecution. Not family rejection. Not statelessness. Not trauma. Not fear. Not even death. Because his love isn't based on my circumstances. It's based on his character. And he is faithful. Always. Forever. So I keep walking. Keep healing. Keep trusting. Keep hoping. Keep telling my story to anyone who'll listen. Because maybe, just maybe, my story will be the thing that saves someone else. The way other women's stories saved me. That's how the kingdom works. We're all broken. We're all healing. We're all pulling each other toward Jesus. One testimony at a time. One prayer at a time. One act of courage at a time. If you've watched this whole video, if you've heard my story, I'm praying for you right now. Wherever you are. Whatever you're facing. I'm asking Jesus to meet you. To reveal himself to you. To show you that you're loved. That you're valuable. That you're worth saving. And if you want to know Jesus, if you want the freedom I have, the peace I have, the hope I have, pray this with me. Jesus, I don't understand everything. I don't have all the answers. But I need you. I'm tired of being alone. Tired of being afraid. Tired of feeling worthless. I've heard that you see me. That you love me. That you died for me. If that's true, if you're real, please show me. Come into my life. Into my heart. Save me. Not just from my circumstances, but from myself. From sin. From shame. From death. Make me yours. I'm choosing you, Jesus. Right now. Forever. Amen. If you prayed that, welcome home, sister. You just became a daughter of the King. You just joined the family of God. You just stepped into freedom. It won't be easy. The road ahead is hard. But you're not walking it alone. Jesus is with you. And so am I. So are all of us who've gone before you. Find a church. A safe one that loves women, that honors Jesus, that teaches the Bible. If you can't do that safely, find online communities. Read your Bible, start with the Gospel of John. Pray. Talk to Jesus like he's your best friend, because he is. And connect with organizations that help women like us. There are numbers in the description below. Safe houses. Rescue networks. Legal help. You don't have to figure this out alone. Jesus has you. And he's not letting go. My name is Sarah. I was trapped behind the veil of fear. Sold. Silenced. Suffocating under the weight of a religion and culture that saw me as property. But Jesus called my name. And everything changed. I'm free now. Not because my circumstances are perfect. But because my soul is free. Because I know who I am. Because I know whose I am. I am a daughter of the Most High God. Chosen. Loved. Valued. Free. And so are you, sister. So are you. Jesus sees you. He loves you. And he's calling your name. Will you answer?